Hello and welcome to Thursdays with Annette. I'm so happy you're joining me today because I'm in my fizzy fabulous place. That's right, I'm in my kitchen, got my apron on, I've got my pan ready, all my ingredients and my fabulous book, which is the Cooking for One or Two. That's where we're going today, and we're going to make Indonesian fish curry. Now you can make it with other proteins and I'll tell you about that if you're not a fish person, but we're going to Indonesia today. That's right, because you know it's just a cheap way to travel there, and I love that you can make all the world's recipes in your kitchen and still feel they're authentic and fabulous. And I love the ingredients in this recipe because it's vibrant, it's banging with flavour. So if you've not tried this recipe, I'm excited for you. And if you want to win the Cooking for One or Two, I'll tell you how you win that later. And the winners from each week, it gets announced in the feed here on the Simply Too Good page. So look out for your name and see if you're a winner. So let's have a look at the ingredients we need for this fabulous recipe. I love it. We have it a lot and we do love it with the fish. So, I mean, you know, I'll tell you how you can do it without it though. So we're going to start with 300 grams of firm fish so that it doesn't break up. Like barramundi, for example, just crumbles in your hands when you cook it, you know what I mean? So it's better to be cooked as a whole fish. So you want a firm fish that's boneless, of course, so 300 grams. Now we've also got beans, capsicum, I've got some coriander, and if you're one of these people that are not into coriander, then I would suggest you swap it for basil, okay? Maybe, you know, Thai basil might be even better. We've got some lemongrass, fresh lemongrass, shallots, green beans, soy sauce, garlic. Now, of course, I'm using the jar one, but you can use fresh if you want. Now, the spices that really make it fabulous is turmeric, we do cumin and chili. Now, if you don't want anything hot, don't put the chili in. If you like it really hot, you might want to put more than I tell you. So that's your choice. Now we're going to use the rice bran cooking spray because I'm using my Neoflam. This is the really good spray to use on good quality pans. And I've also got my evaporated light milk, my coconut essence. Now people are saying sometimes it's not in Coles and Woolworths. Where do I get it? IGA. That's the place you'll find them, in the big IGAs. And I've also got a bit of corn flour in here to mix up with the evaporated milk to do it, thicken it. So what I might do first is do the veggies, I think, because I always like to start with something that's a bit fresh before I get into the fish. Now we want 3/4 cup of sliced red capsicum, okay? So that's what, now I'm going to cut these in half so that we get bite-sized slices, and I think that's better, you know, than having huge big chunks of capsicum. Now I've chosen the red because I'm all about the colour and the fabulousness of it, aren't I? And this is where I find with the green beans and the turmeric, which gives it the colour, the yellow colour, and the red. It just looks beautiful. And it's one of those ones that is, if you don't like anything hot, it's easy just not to put the chili in it, and it's still going to give you a lovely flavour. And that's what you know, for some people, they're just, my daughter, for example, she can't take chili at all. So 3/4 cup. Let me put that in. That's perfect. Now I'll just put it in the bowl here because then I'm going to do the beans. Let me put that over here. Now we also want 3/4 cup of green beans. And they're sliced as well. So what I tend to do when I'm doing beans, I've already pre-washed them. I always wash my vegetables and salad stuff always. I just go put it all at one length, and same on this side. And now I'm going to probably just, I think, down the middle. I think that looks good. Just make a call on how your beans look. How are we going here? Nope, we need a few more. It's important you cut those ends off though, because they are quite woody. And fresh beans just really make it fantastic. There we go. I'll just leave that over there. We've got the coriander. Now I actually, to save time, I just plucked all the leaves off. It's 1/4 cup. But as I said before, you know what, if you really are, look, I'm going to ask you the question actually. Who is a lover of coriander? You know, because I think you're either in or you're out. There's no middle ground with coriander. Now, are you a lover or are you a fighter? You know, because I'd just be curious to see how many people actually like coriander. And really, very easy. Just change it to basil if you don't like it. I love it. I'm in. I'd be a big thumbs up for me. Now with the shallots, we want 2 tablespoons. And they go in at the same time. No, they don't. They go in at a different time. Let me put them in here. I just remembered. We want 2 tablespoons. And don't be afraid to use the green part of the shallot because it's great. You know, it's not just about the white. And I mean, it's also more economical too. The last thing I've got to just prepare, apart from the fish, is the lemongrass. So I'm going to just chop that down. And now with lemongrass, you want it to be fairly fine. So I'm going to cut it into slices, cut into 3. And then I'm going to take that coating off because that's a bit hard. And we want to just finely cut that. And we want a tablespoon. I'm sure it's a tablespoon, isn't it? Yeah. If you feel anything's a bit woody, then just take it away. And when you use fresh coriander for a start, fresh herbs, they just really make a recipe like this come alive. And you'll be really glad of using fresh lemongrass in this recipe because it really just is fantastic. So it goes in there. So I'm just going to put it in. And the last thing I have to do now, and put your leftovers into like a sealed little zip bag. And I've got a feeling when you've made this recipe, you might want to make it again because it's so good. All right, so now here's my fish. A little bit of water in here. I'm just going to empty that out. Actually, I might not even use that bowl. I think I'll just... So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the fish into bite-sized pieces. And remember, this is just for 2. So I kind of like going down the middle there. And then, as I said, bite size. Now, if you don't want fish, swap it for, and I tell you how to do it in the recipe, you can swap it for chicken, you can swap it for rump, and you can swap it with tofu if you've got vegetarians or you're vegetarian. So as you see, I've cut them in 2. Now these thin pieces of fish, don't make them too small. I'm going to make that a bit big because there's not much to them. And then follow through with the slices. I might turn my cooktop on. And we're just going to cook the fish first. This is how you're going to really find this recipe delicious because we don't stew like this fish and make it like rubber because it's so dry. We're going to cook it first, use the spray, and then just get your bits of fish. It's got a sizzle to it, so I like that. And cook it first. We're going to cook it just for a couple of minutes till it's white and not opaque looking. And then we'll take it out. Let me just wash my hands. All right. So all the prep's done now. We've just got to cook the fish. There's my bowl, and then we can start putting everything together. Now I do this a lot with stir fries because I find that if you're using, say for example, you decide to use rump. Well, if you put that in and then you cook the vegetables and you do this and you do that, it really will toughen up your meat. So I find it's just better, like I'm doing now, cook it off till it's just cooked. Might get some tongs. There we go. Everything's at the ready in my gorgeous kitchen. I remember when we built the house, Bill and I sat down and had it was like going to Disneyland because we were able to design our own kitchen. And Bill's a chef, you know, an award-winning chef. And so we were able to add things into our kitchen that other people would probably just go, what? Like for example, this bench is higher than your normal bench because I spend a lot of time at this bench, and if you're bending over like that, it's not good for your back, is it? And so I made the benches higher. Yeah, so there you go, a little bit of trivia today. All right, fish, cooked, beautiful. And we will put that in at the end. All right, so now we're going to respray again and add in the capsicum, the beans, and the lemongrass. And so you can see from preparing it up ahead really does make your cooking so much quicker and easier. Oh, let's put the garlic in. I mustn't forget because you know I love my garlic. I love it. Okay, so we only want half a teaspoon because remember we are making this recipe for 2. Okay, this is out of cooking for 1 or 2. It's one of the new recipes that was in there. And when you look at a recipe like this, for example, and go, well, that's not going to work. There's 4 of us at home, or 6, or heaven forbid, there's 8. My God, you'd be a fabulous family if you had 8 in it. I want to have Christmas with you. But what you do is you just double or triple. So the fish was 300 grams. So if you're making this for 4, it would be what? 600. That's right, 600 grams. The shallots would be 4 tablespoons, not 2. The vegetables would be 1.5 cups each. So don't be worried about doing that. Now, I'm not going to cook these too long because I do like a crispy veggie with my Indonesian. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add in the shallots. Put them in. And now we're going to put in the flavours. I just want to turn this down a little bit. So let's put in our soy sauce. So it's a tablespoon. Hold your finger down on your measure thing when you're doing liquids because that really keeps it accurate. And we're using, of course, the low salt. What's it say? Less salt. Make sure you're buying that. We're also going to put in, I'm going to turn it off a sec. We're going to put in now, well, let me take this off. See, this is, you know how it's got these little things? Take it off, get your measure spoon because they fit in, and I'm going to do 1/4 teaspoon of cumin. Move it down. In it goes. We're going to do 1/2 teaspoon of turmeric. I love turmeric. It just gives the Asian food such a wonderful colour. And yes, we're going to put chilli in. We're going to put only in 1/8 teaspoon. And so I'm going to go right down to the lowest end, put that in. And I find that that's just gives it that little bit of kick, which I really love. All right, so let's combine that. Oh, this is so easy, isn't it? But it's so beautifully flavoured. And I think the lemongrass really does give it that fragrance that we really want. Now you can freeze it for a couple of weeks, but not really much longer because it has the evaporated milk in it, which we're going to put in now 3/4 cup. If you can't have evaporated milk, then you could use almond milk, but then I only put in a teaspoon of corn flour. I'd put in 2 teaspoons if I was using the, what's it called, almond milk. I'm too excited. Yeah. Oh, look at chili. What? Oh, Bill said, don't forget the essence. I'm going to pour this in because I want that to get cooking. You put in half a teaspoon of the essence. And remember I said to you, go to IGA. They've still got it. And there is our low-fat coconut cream. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? Now I'm just going to let that boil up for a minute. Let's put in the coriander. As I said, if you don't like coriander, replace it with basil. And the last thing we have to do is add in our fish. So then in it goes. Beautifully just cooked and tender and gorgeous and moist. So remember, you can do it with chicken, rump or tofu. Now the fat count, that's always good to know, isn't it? Because that's what my whole life is about, is how much fat are in things. So with the fish, it's 3.4 grams of fat. I know, it's fabulous. Look at this. And this is just for two. So half down the middle, it's mine, the other half's Billy's. Yes, we are living the life. And with chicken, it's 4.9 grams of fat. So you would do 300 grams of skinless chicken breast. Rump, you'd do the very lean rump at 9.3 grams. And the tofu is 11.6. And you would just use the 300 grams. Look at that. I haven't got it on a high heat because I really don't want to burn the base, because if you have things too hot, especially with really good quality pans, they can hold their heat really well. And see, by the time I've done all this, my fish has heated up, my vegetables are cooked just that little bit more, and we are done. Here we go. Oh. A little bit more milk in there, let's put it in. All right, so now you would serve this with whatever you want. You could do rice or noodles. In our house, we do love our rice. So that's where we go with it. So I've just got my plate here with, with my serve of rice. I have half a cup of the basmati rice with my meals. I always find that's enough, because if I don't serve it, like if I don't measure it, I just ladle it on, and I know I have too much. And really, this is where people argue about, you know, having carbs. The rice is not a problem, especially if it's the basmati rice. It's how much you have of it, all right? So think about that. So let's divide this up. Make sure that we both get an equal amount. Oh, yes. That's looking a bit fantastic. Let's get that sauce in there. There we go. Oh my gosh, who knew weight loss could be so deliciously healthy? Yes, you can. Indonesian fish curry out of the Cooking for 2. Now, if you want to win the cookbook, all you have to do is like, share, and in the comments, hashtag Simply Too Good. You know what you've got to do? Why to? Hashtag Simply Too Good. Run the comments and I'll pick 3 people and they'll get a personal signed copy of the Cooking for 1 or 2. Now, next week's show, I'm excited because I'm bringing back an old classic. It's actually in book 4, but I also did it as a small version in More Cooking. So you've got a chance to win either of those books next week. What am I making? Well, I'm doing a good old favy, the tasty meatloaf. I mean, it never goes out of fashion. So join me next week and work out how to have a really healthy, easy meatloaf. It's going to be something that you can have with salad, you can have with vegetables, you know, like it's really versatile. And so if you want any more tips or recipes, you go to simplytoogood.com.au. Thanks for joining me today. I've really enjoyed your company, and I know I'm going to enjoy my lunch today, and it is the beautiful Indonesian fish curry. I hope you try it because it really is yum. Bye now.